Okay. The next session is harnessing the power of open modularity and AI, insights from system providers. So I have three panelists here from four panelists from four different companies.
It's getting late.
Yeah, it's getting late. Why don't you quickly introduce yourselves?
My name is Vincent Nguyen. I'm from HPE, kind of R&D organization. So.
And I'm Paul Mcleod. I'm a product director at Supermicro.
Patrick Hampton, system architect, Jabil.
And I'm Corey Hartman, a system architect, concept architect at Dell.
Okay, so first question I have is for Corey, Dell. Can you talk about the key differences before and after MHS?
Yeah, when we were working on products and new technologies, prior to MHS, we spent a lot of time, I would call, working on just the plumbing. And especially when we were working with different CPU providers or different technologies, it was just a lot of the basic plumbing that was just similar but different. And I think you've heard this theme in other talks today, that, hey, how someone connected to a backplane, or just the connectors they chose, or the pin out was 2 pins different, how you connected to a riser, how you delivered power. And so for every CPU type or platform, we just would spend a lot of time and resources working on that plumbing and just trying to figure that out and getting it common and trying to convince our either our CPU providers to influence them in one way or the other. And after MHS really has helped solve that, we will talk about a little bit later, but it's able to move us past those plumbing conversations.
Okay, thanks, Corey. Paul, next one for you. Can you give us a little bit about the key factors that brought Supermicro to open standards?
Sure, and now we're literally doing plumbing, so it comes full circle. So one of the things with OCP in general, when it first came out, we would come, we would investigate, but it was very monolithic and really was a very difficult thing to enter into because of that. You're all in, you win or you lose. With MHS, basically, there's the opportunity to leverage all of these components for your off-the-shelf, your channel, all of the different places where you're selling your hardware. So that's been one of the biggest reasons that it was like a no-brainer to start kicking off MHS.
Thanks, Paul. Vincent, next one for you. Can you talk a little bit, you've seen it on the show floor, AI is everywhere. Talk a little bit about new markets, specifically AI or edge at AI.
Sure. So from MHS member, we see a lot of opportunity, not just within MHS initiative, by basically collaborate with SoC supplier or provider to basically standardize on plug and play, right? And the goal is that by doing that, you definitely will improve the interoperability of the modular component within MHS. However, we need to reach beyond MHS. We need to reach out to open system for AI, right? Because we believe that's the easiest to define the interface, the standard, so we can take basically that GPU module and integrate it into the DC-MHS system. So I see all the opportunity there. So.
Thank you, Vincent. Okay, Patrick, can you talk a little bit about Jabil's experience in open standards and MHS adoption?
Yeah, sure. So this is a great slide, and I just want to give a shout out to Paul for putting this together. I want to give credit where credit's due. So looking at the slide, it's kind of a chronological timeline of the OCP, MHS Lego blocks, if you will, for us. So starting out with the NIC, DCSCM. What's not shown here is MPESTI, MXIO. It's all things that we picked up. So Jabil, we jumped in around 21, 22. So we ended up scooping up doing NIC, SCM, and we have our own MDNO board. As of today, we've got 2 variants of an MFLW, so we're really excited about being able to jump in and be a part of this. What's not shown on this chart, obviously, is the SDNO that you all have probably seen, especially on the floor, and if you've been some of the presentations earlier today. SDNO is something that is really exciting and should be on this table here. And if you really want to extrapolate this timeline even further, we've got a big question mark about AI and how we're going to get our arms around that as well.
Thanks, Patrick. So Corey, let's talk a little bit about Dell specifically. And with that, can you talk about accelerated compute and how Dell views MHS helping with that?
Yeah, when as I spoke to all the just kind of basic engineering problems and plumbing that we had to work on. Now that we're a couple years past and adopting MHS and seeing it in the ecosystem, we have totally different conversations, right? And we're not spending our time reinventing some of those basic or re-engineering those basic problems anymore, right? We're actually able to spend time on like actual valuable customer problems, adding features or adopting new technologies. And our conversations with the CPU providers are totally different, right? So now like the things that we had to negotiate, I was like, hey, is this CPU footprint or this memory footprint or these VR choices, how's that going to fit in my chassis? And the CPU provider has to think about other system producers. And we don't have to worry about that anymore, right? It's we're now moving on to, hey, how can I add additional silicon variants, serve new markets? And so that's where we saw we weren't going to be able to scale without something like MHS, right? So now we can actually go scale and be able to offer more products, expand our portfolio. I think from the CPU provider standpoint, that we can be better future-proofed, right? Because now the CPU providers have kind of a stable outlook on the system designs, whereas in the past they may not know. It was like, hey, is Dell's portfolio or their chassis going to last this generation, and then Jabil's might change the next one, and there's going to be different constraints. Now everyone's kind of able to innovate in common zones and kind of go faster and concentrate on that. As it relates to expanding like accelerated compute and AI, we're definitely just starting to see that benefit today as we're able to take, you just got a lot of different AI topologies and types of products, HPC type of products, and where in the past those may have had either some unique HPMs or some unique compute. But now we can go into those architectures knowing exactly what we're building around, and we can like leverage the existing or reuse the existing building block that we have. We even have conversations that we've never had before, right? It's like, oh, well, we didn't produce this one silicon variant at this time, but hey, actually, as you can see on the show floor, like there's definitely an ODM out there that has it in the right form factor, right? And so it just opens up an avenue to faster time to market for us to be able to go and engage with partners. In a relationship that would have taken 6 months, right, to understand our design specs and our design interoperability, now that goes very quick because MHS has established that baseline that everybody's working on. So it's going to be a huge benefit as we move forward into more and more AI and accelerated compute platforms.
And I think the key point you made was around the future-proofing, right? So because it's a collaboration, right, the CPU silicon providers can future-proof their designs while the system providers can future-proof theirs, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we all now have a common language and common boundaries, right? And we can kind of talk about those boundaries and what fits within those boundaries, right? And so the CPU providers can have internal roadmap discussions within, hey, I want to stay within this form factor and these interfaces, plan out their roadmap. And you know that on the system design side, we're doing the same thing, right? We want to make our investments in our systems and our chassis and have that be future-proofed as well. So all of us on both sides are striving to maximize our investments there. And so we're innovating in customer value in the technology. We're both motivated to do that. It's gonna happen.
Great, thanks, Corey. So I want to shift to HPE, Vincent. Can you talk a little bit about HPE's specific thoughts around MHS and specifically how it helps you enter new markets?
So I mean, as you can see, I think the open initiative, I believe HPE as a system provider, I believe we recognize that it gives us the ability to react to the market more quickly and more efficiently as well, right? Think of it, the idea of plug and play. Now, component from our SoC reference design, they are definitely a cohesive leverage there that we can add into a component ecosystem of our own, so we can address different market. If our ecosystem is not currently available, we can take something right from our partner and able to provide that solution, right? And another area that I believe open initiative also bring really value to between the system provider and the SoC provider is more collaboration, right? The design is no longer different. We follow the form factor. We have a same interface, right, for all subsystem. And now with plug and play, our firmware, right, communicates to main nodes at the same. So from that perspective, you can see the benefit of it, right? Not just about leverage the component, but also improve the system validation, the testing aspect as well. And I believe the third area that we value is also the component itself, the small component itself, that we basically will drive the value of it by lower the cost, right? Because look at that, rather than just, like Corey mentioned, we had to define a special connect for certain application. Now it's an industry standard connector, right? So it's benefit from economically in terms of the cost of the small component like cable connector, right? But I believe so also every time we introduce a connector in open, it's automatically provide basically multi-source sync as well. And we believe in that from HPE perspective.
Great, thanks, Vincent. Okay, Paul, like to talk a little bit about Supermicro specifically. Can you talk about how MHS aligns to Supermicro's design philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying earlier, once they started, once the OCP started producing these standard components, it really fell into the DNA of Supermicro, which is a building block approach. And it's really exciting to see, the whole market has kind of moved to this simplification, making it so that we've got these building blocks that we can all leverage. And in terms of manufacturing, again, advantages there, both in terms of if you're vertically integrated and if you're, going to be using different manufacturers for different pieces of your solution. The other thing I really think fits in with this is that with just having two motherboards and SCM and the NIC, we basically have the ability to build many different servers. So I basically have 6 server models shown on the slide here. The feature sets and the modularity of those can be very different personalities. Each individual server might have 3 or 4 different configurations, and it's all because we've got this kind of standardized building block approach, and we're able to leverage these different components. The other thing that really is advantageous, all of us people building motherboards, building our own BMC management infrastructure, and then having hyperscalers that say, hey, we want to own that piece. This gives us that same silicon for us as well as for our partners, so OpenBMC, and those standards have really influenced the way that we build these systems. I'm in the storage group, and so one of the other industry standards that has been developing over the last decade really is the EDSFF standard for flash media. And again, we're doing flash media, and then that became the standard for CXL devices, so type 3 CXL. So really, we had built this platform for storage, and it became the first to market to do CXL with a type 3 device. So really, the benefits of building to standards means that these memory vendors have been able to leverage these open standards, and things happen that you might not have expected when you first started out doing your design. So those are all the kind of things, and of course, just the ability to promote these as, at scale, and also as a onesie twosie through the channel. So it's really kind of powerful in that, the supply chain, optimizing our supply chain.
Great, thank you. Patrick, let's shift it to Jabil and your experience with MHS. Can you talk a little bit about the impacts Jabil has experienced as a system integrator?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to start out firstly with our customers, right? So let's rewind again about year and a half ago. Whenever we were approached with any of our newer customers, we often found ourselves teaching them about what MHS is and what the benefits are, the greatness of it all. They weren't familiar with the vernacular, so it was a little bit foreign to them. Some of them kind of knew where the specs were. Fast forward to today, and it's a complete shift. So we've got customers coming to us. They're super excited. Hey, do you guys know about this? What do you have? Some of them are even coming up to us and saying, here's our concepts with an A and a B and a C. Do you guys do A's and B's? Do you know what those are? So it's really exciting. And so all that means is it really streamlines the conversations with our customers. It enables us to set aside all the plumbing stuff that these guys have been talking about up here, and focus on the customizations and giving the customer exactly what they need, and not worrying and not sweating the details on the stuff that we used to sweat all the time, and build on these building blocks. And again, it's establishing that vernacular that everyone understands, and again, streamlining the process and discussions with our customers it's really important. Secondly, internal to Jabil, we're trying to, so you obviously you've got these HPMs that have all these other subcomponents that sort of plug in, and everything's really modular. So what we're trying to do is expand outside the HPM itself. So you've got all the components surrounding the HPM itself. So you've got your chassis and all the parts that are structured around that. So how do we sort of extrapolate that same modular theme outside the HPM to our chassis, right? Because we're integrators. Not only do we do our own HPMs and our own chassis, but we also have the opportunity where customers come to us with their own HPMs and they want to use our chassis. So how do we make it so that it's super friendly, super easier for them to get them what they need as quickly as possible? And lastly, on this slide, I just want to say, the collaborative part of being part of this work group, to me, it was super exciting. It's being able to work with these guys it's really great. They didn't just pick us up randomly to talk through this, right? It's we meet every week. At one point, we were meeting 2 times a week. We bring problems, solutions. We debate things. But overall, it's a healthy, safe environment. It's great. We hash out things, but the collaboration it's superb with all the different companies. It's fantastic. We're really happy to be a part of it.
Thanks, Patrick. Okay, so the last slide is more just an open question, if any of you want to take it. Just basically give me a little bit more on the call to action for the community, and where you would like to see us go next. Anyone?
I can start. I think we definitely want feedback and insights on how how products are incorporating the standards, how you're using the standards, and kind of what's next on the horizon. The technology advances of power density and liquid cooling, the coming next gen and I/O speeds. It's going to require us to adapt and solve new problems, and it's just really helpful and insightful if we can get information and use cases and insights into how people are trying to apply these specifications. And certainly as you come into the next gen like AI systems, accelerated compute, like what are the right building blocks and approaches to tackle those building block problems that I just touched upon. So we're ready to start tackling that, and we really encourage some participation and inputs and feedback to help guide us and help work on the right things.
For me, it's basically take what we learn from data center, DC, MHS initiative, and carry a lot of synergy of those to the edge and design to that and expand the ecosystem. And on the AI aspect, right, our goal is to reach out. I want to re-emphasize this, is reach out to the open system for AI to make sure we align on strategy, because today, taking a different GPU from different vendor is not even compatible today. So it's really, we need to reach out, collaborate, and bring it to a common standard interface so we can have a common system that will support any module, right, without any significant impact in terms of how to manage those components differently, right? So.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, I think one of the things that is a challenge ahead for AI, of course, is the thermal concerns, and I think that's one of the areas that it will be really interesting to see how this community builds on, what we're learning about data centers and the increasing TDPs that are in these systems, and how do we minimize those. So that's one of the things that I'm excited about to see and hopefully contribute.
Yeah, and again, just to reemphasize the collaboration aspect of it, being able to work with the AMDs, the Intels, HP, Dell, all in the same room, Supermicro, it's fantastic. So if you're out there and you're kind of on the fence, stop thinking about it. We haven't regretted it. We bring tons of problems. Unfortunately, I bring more problems than solutions, I have to admit. But it's all in great spirit, right? It's working with these great minds, trying to solve real problems. And again, this slide is pointing out AI is the next thing that we want to focus on. So again, if you're on the fence, join the group, join the work group. There's going to be plenty of discussions, plenty of things to talk about, and be part of building down the foundational roadblocks of what's ahead. Looking forward to it.
Okay, I think that hit our talking points for today. Is there any questions? Feel free to come on up to the mic.
Hello. The immersion community just approved the first immersion cooling fluid for a single phase. What do you guys think about that? Would you be interested in testing your modules individually? Not as a server, but as a module that has some kind of production acceptance test. And then once we feel safe about that, creating a system and
Yeah, I think we don't really have any kind of acceptance testing today. Like the building blocks we've defined, that's the right word. They're kind of they're kind of standalone systems. But what you described sounds like it could fall in the realm of a design spec type of like we wrote a lot of base specs, right, that give you the foundation and all the interfaces. And then like material choices and like what cooling technology, right? The base spec is agnostic to that, right? So your cooling technologies, your materials, all those things is like the next layer of specifications. And we have talked about, hey, what are some interesting or useful design specs that we could potentially publish as a group, or what individuals could contribute. So we would probably love to talk some more and maybe brainstorm a little bit more about what you're thinking. I think to accomplish that goal of kind of an acceptance testing, I think we have to have some level of a design spec established first so that we know what we're testing, and we can tie that whole recipe together of, hey, these are the materials and the specifics of a design. that works in this particular fluid or cooling environment.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm open to talking about it, and I'm on one of the working projects, so I can definitely get you guys wired in.
Yeah, we can have offline meeting, or we also have the MHS public sessions. That might be a good forum
Yeah.
to invite others to just come in. We can say, hey, we're going to talk about this on this week.
Yeah, people will tell you if you invite me, watch out.
I think it's a really good one. Thanks. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Attend our public sessions. Give us feedback. Thanks.